Hello, my name is Will Calhoun, and I've got a question for you. Have you ever played Mad Libs? You know, that game where you fill in the blanks with words and you get a funny little story out of it? Well, you might be surprised to know that screenwriting for movies is a very similar concept. You see, most movies follow this narrative structure that you can apply to several films. A lot of the events of the movie happen at this structure's parts. And writers will use this to just plug in events and you have a script. And this structure is appealing for a number of reasons. Like I said, it helps with the writing process, and from a business standpoint, it lets producers know what might be worth spending money on. Um, and as an aspiring director, as a person that's seen many films in his lifetime with a special attention to this process, and as a film student at MTSU, I've learned a lot about why this structure can be so beneficial. But what is the structure anyway? Well, it breaks down like this. Each movie has three acts. You have Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Um, and each act breaks down into two different parts. Act 1, you have the status quo. You have an event that shakes up the status quo. And then the gray area afterwards. And from Act 1 to Act 2, you have the point of no return, which is usually a choice in an event that pushes the hero into a corner, really, where they can't go back to their normal life. Act 2 is where the meat of the movie is, and it's separated by a midpoint, the halfway part of the movie. Um, and the midpoint is usually a high point for the hero or a low point for the hero. And those events will either go up or go down, depending on which it is, what kind of movie it is. And then you have Act 3, which is split off by the climax. You have the events leading up to the climax. The climax itself is that halfway part of the Act 3, and then you have the resolution. Let's take John Wick, for example, a very recent action movie, 2014, I believe, where John Wick's status quo is him mourning the loss of his wife. He gets a dog as a gift from his wife after she dies, and we see the everyday going ons of John Wick in that moment. And what shakes up that status quo is gangsters coming and killing his dog. Then you have the results of that action, and when John Wick chooses to take revenge, he can no longer go back to his status quo. And then you have Act 2, which is the action scenes of the movie, and then the midpoint where he gets kidnapped and everything seems dire and it looks like he's about to die, and then he escapes and he makes friends and he eventually makes his way to the docks where Act 3 happens, the climax where he faces off against the gang's leader, and then the resolution afterwards. But why is this structure so appealing again? Well, again, it helps with the creative writing process. I'm sure you've all heard of writer's block. Where you just sit at a screen and try to make a story and nothing comes out. Well, the structure is a very good formula to, like Mad Libs, plug in events and, again, script. And from a business standpoint, producers want to look for things that will make money because movies are very expensive. So you want your script to make at least as much, hopefully more. And having a tried and true formula that very many successful Hollywood films have followed for decades, well, it just looks better to a producer. But what about the other end of it? What are the cons of this structure? Well, again, it is a formula, and like I've said, you notice it with a lot of Hollywood films, and that itself can be stifling to creativity. You can fall into another basic movie just by following the structure. But again, breaking the structure, it can help your creativity flow by being able to have complete freedom of what you're writing, not bound by the laws of structure. But again, this looks unappealing to producers. Let's take Citizen Kane, for example, one of the greatest movies of all time. It doesn't really follow this three-act structure, but it wasn't a financial success upon its release. It's posthumously regarded as one of the best. So keep that in mind if you ever decide you want to write scripts. There's benefits to following a structure and benefits to breaking the structure. But if you're not writing scripts, try and look out for the structure the next time you watch one of your favorite movies. It's a fun time, and you'll learn more, you know. But that's all I got. Thank you. Keep watching films.